Hi everyone, I'm Shyam. In this video, we're going to discuss a very important topic called the recent constitutional amendments. A very important topic in the subject polity, important for all competitive exams, irrespective of the standard of the exam. Like I already have told you in my earlier video where I talked about the latest amendment, 104th amendment. I have clearly mentioned the fact that especially when you go to competitive exams where you are tested in polity, you have to be updated. You have to get updated with the recent constitutional amendments. Many students, they don't study the amendments because they think there are 100 plus amendments. How can we study? Anyway, we can't remember. No doubt, the fact that you have to study all the amendments, but especially by the time you go to the exam, you must be aware of at least the latest, the recent 20 to 25 constitutional amendments. Fine. In my earlier video, I have clearly explained and discussed with you what is the 104th amendment about. The 104th, the latest constitutional amendment talking about, I have clearly mentioned that. And if some of you haven't seen that, please check that video, my earlier video on 104th constitutional amendment. In this video, I am going to talk about the 103rd and 102nd constitutional amendment. I have already told you, so far we have made 104 amendments and 126 amendment bills have been passed. And out of those 104 amendments, if you observe, I am coming in the descending order, that is from 104. Now I am talking about the 103 and 102, 103rd and 102nd amendment. So now what is this 103rd amendment about? The 103rd amendment. The 103rd amendment is about 10% reservations to the EWS. What is EWS? Economically weaker sections. So the 103rd amendment is a provision that gives the power to allocate 10% reservations to the economically weaker sections. Very simple point, but important. Tomorrow you go to the exam, you will be directly asked a question, which of the following amendments talks about the 10% reservations for EWS. 103rd amendment talks about 10% reservations to the economically weaker sections. Economically weaker sections. Now, in addition to this simple point, let us understand that we already have something called, Supreme Court has already in many previous cases given the verdict that reservations cannot cross 50%. However, this recent 103rd amendment gave 10% reservations, which means it becomes around 59.5% reservations. And that is the reason why there is a small issue going on with regard to the 103rd amendment. There is an NGO called Youth for Equality. There is a non-government organization, NGO called Youth for Equality, that has approached the court to look into the case where we cannot cross 50%. However, the court already has very clearly said that it is a responsibility of everybody to make sure that the economically weaker sections should be given the proper encouragement and proper support. And that is not a new thing now. If you observe carefully, we have something called Directive Principles, right? DPSP, we say in a shortcut, Directive Principles of State Policy. In the Directive Principles of State Policy also, there is a very important article called Article 46. In the Article 46 also, that is the point very clearly says, Article 46 commands the state governments, not even simply empowers. Article 46, what does it do? It is a directive principle that commands the state governments to support the economically weaker sections. That is the reason why the recent 103rd amendment is very prominent. I'm repeating the concept. Please listen carefully. The 103rd amendment was made in the year 2019, and this amendment gives 10% reservations to the economically weaker sections. That means especially for the central government run schools and private educational institutions, but not the minority institutions. Please note, the 10% reservations for the economically weaker sections is to the what? Is to the central government run schools or private schools, private education institutes, or central government employment. But this is not a mandatory provision on the state governments. There is no compulsion that every state has to do it. It is left to the state subject. But the recent 103rd Amendment is a provision that empowers the government to give 10% reservations to the economically weaker sections, especially in the central government run schools and private schools, but not minority institutions, and state governments can do, cannot do, it is up to their personal choice. However, having said this, what is the first state in India to implement this 10% reservation to the economically weaker sections? Gujarat. Very important bit. Gujarat, Vijay Rupani, Gujarat is the first state in India to immediately implement this 10% reservations to the economically weaker sections. And of course, this is followed by many other states, of course. But the bit comes like which state is the first state to implement the 10% reservation. So, 103rd Amendment talks about 10% reservations to the economically weaker sections. Immediately, the point to remember is Gujarat is the first state. And 103rd Amendment was passed in the year 2019. If you remember, the 104th Amendment which I have talked about in my earlier video, there are some bits to remember. 104th Amendment is which bill? 126th Amendment Bill. It was passed by whom? Very important bit. It was passed by the Minister of Law and Justice, Ravi Shankar Prasad. 104th Amendment was passed by the Minister of Law and Justice, Ravi Shankar Prasad. It talks about what? The 104th bill talks about 10 years extension of the reservations to the seats of Lok Sabha and Assembly. 103rd Amendment talks about 10% reservations to the EWS. This is about a very important amendment called 103rd Amendment. So this is about the 103rd Amendment. Now, what is the 102nd Amendment talking about? A very, very, very important point. Please make a note. 102nd Amendment happened in the year 2018. 102nd Amendment took place in the year 2018. And what is this amendment about? The 102nd Amendment is about what happened, because of this amendment, the National Commission for Backward Classes, NCBC. The National Commission for Backward Classes got constitutional status. So this 102nd Amendment gave a constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes. You can ask me a question. Before this, what was happening to NCBC? So before this amendment, 102nd Amendment, the National Commission for Backward Classes was a kind of statutory body under the Ministry of Justice and Social Empowerment. I am repeating, the 102nd Amendment gave constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes. Before that, National Commission for Backward Classes, NCBC, was a statutory body under the Ministry of Justice and Social Empowerment. You can ask me, Shyam sir, did we not have any backward classes commissions like this before? Yes, of course we had similar backward classes commissions like during 1950s. During 1950s we have Kaka Kalerkar Commission for backward classes, and during 1970s also we have BP Mandal Commission for backward classes. But what happened? The historical decision was taken by the Supreme Court because in the year 1992, you remember, we have Indira Sawhney case, very popular case. In the year 1992, the name of the case is Indira Sawhney versus Union of India case. In the year 1992, Indira Sawhney versus Union of India case. In that year, after this case is over, Supreme Court very clearly told the government of India that you immediately form a very clear-cut, stringent commission for backward classes, and that is how the reason why in the year 1993 we had for the first time the setup of National Commission for Backward Classes in the year 1993. But since 1993, this NCBC has been only a statutory body under the Ministry of justice and social empowerment. But in the year 2018, because of the 102nd amendment, now this National Commission for Backward Classes got constitutional status. And also a point to remember is this 102nd amendment inserted a new article called 338B and 342A. I think most of you must be aware of the article 338 and 338A, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, correct? So now the new article came into existence in Constitution called Article 338B and 342A. Article 338B is about the power of the government to support the people belonging to the backward classes. And what is Article 342A? Article 342A empowers the president. Article 342A empowers the president to specify who belongs to which classes. Article 342A is a power of the president to differentiate, to specify who belongs to backward classes. That is the reason why this article, this amendment called 102nd amendment is a very, 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 very important amendment. Before I end the video, I'll just quickly recap in 10 seconds the 3 amendments so far which I have discussed with you. The latest amendment is 104th amendment. What happened because of this amendment? The reservations are extended for 10 more years. For whom? To the seats of Lok Sabha and Assembly for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Very important. And what is the 103rd amendment? The 103rd amendment is about 10% reservations for the economically weaker sections. The 102nd amendment is about what happened? The National Commission for Backward Classes got constitutional status, NCBC. When was NCBC actually set up? In the year 1993, after the Indira Sawhney versus Union of India case in the year 1992. So 103rd and 102nd amendment is what I have clearly explained in this video. Please go to the exams only by updating yourself with the recent constitutional amendments. Direct question comes, and especially you have to develop the ability of studying the theory and relating this theory to the current issues going around. I'll explain to you in my further videos how to relate the stock GK, how to relate the polity to the current issues going on, because most of the times in the exams, questions in small exams come directly from textbooks. But in exams like higher level exams like groups and UPSC, questions can't be expected directly from the books. Questions come in pertinence with the theory, with the current issues going around. That is why we should develop the ability. But before we apply it to the practical current issues, level 1 is required. We should study the basics, definitely, no compromise. So in this video, I have clearly explained 103rd and 102nd amendment. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.